Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about two different subjects again. We're going to talk about biology and we're going to be talking about grammar. So we're going to kick things off with biology first. Biology, last week we talked about the scientific method, which if you can recall, the scientific method is where you identify a problem and you carry out your steps to fix it, or you perform an experiment to find out how this problem occurs. So say you go out in your garden and you see squash bugs and you want to come up with an experiment as to how they got there. So first thing what you'll do is you'll make an observation. Your observation is that the squash bugs are in your garden and you want to figure out how to get rid of them or why they're there. Step 2, you're going to ask yourself a question. Why are they there? How do I get rid of them? Step 3, you're going to form a hypothesis. Your hypothesis could be they're in your garden because they like the vegetables in your garden, or you're going to use insecticide or something to get rid of them. Step 4, make a prediction. What's going to happen if, is my hypothesis right? If I use insecticide, how long will it take for them to go away? Number 5, test the prediction. So you're going to want to do your experiment to test your hypothesis. So say you'll put your insecticide on there and you'll wait a little while and then they'll be gone in 2 days, say. And you would test your experiment. And number 6, you would iterate, which means you would refine and renew your results to better enhance your data. So say they didn't go away after 2 days, so you would put more insecticide on there, and after 4 days maybe they went away. So you're just refining or renewing your data. Another thing we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about data tables. So I'll show really quick an example of a data table. If you can see, don't know if you can see very well, but I have a data table right here. So the purpose of that data table is, I made myself a little experiment. It didn't actually happen, I just came up with one. And the scenario is students in PE made a prediction they can run more laps in PE after warming up. And what you'll do is you can separate your students into 2 groups. That's what you'll want to do. One controlled group and one non-controlled group. The controlled group will be the group that does warm up, and the non-controlled group will be the one that does not warm up. So in this case, you kind of have 2 controlled variables, but the group one does not warm up. So we'll say that Group 1 without warming up ran 11 laps, and Group 2 with warming up ran 12 laps. So right now you can see that Group 2 did run more laps because they ended up running more laps than Group 1 did. But you can flip them around and make it to where Group 1 warms up and Group 2 does not. And in this case, I did that, and I got that Group 1 ran 15 laps with warm-ups and Group 2 ran 12 laps without warm-ups. So in this case, your data kind of contradicts itself, but in this case, you can have different scenarios, like say Group 2 is filled with more athletic kids that can run better than Group 1 can. So, or no, my bad, I messed that up, but yeah, but in this case, this would definitely show that warming up does increase your your probability to run more laps. But say Group 2 is probably more athletic anyway because they ran the same amount of laps even without warming up. So we're going to talk about an experimental design. So I'm going to give a little fake experiment. So say you have plant A and plant B, and you want to figure out how much both plants can grow with the amount of sunlight they receive a day. Say you give plant A 3 hours of sunlight, and you give plant B 30 minutes of sunlight. What you'll do is you'll carry both of these out for a week. You have your controlled variable and your non-controlled variable. Your controlled variable is the amount of sunlight they both receive every day. So after a week, you make a observation that plant A grew more because it had more sunlight. So therefore, your conclusion would be the more sunlight a plant receives, the more it will grow. Now we're going to move on to grammar. I talked about grammar last week. This is mostly going to be kind of a review, but still, same thing. We're still talking about plural words. Talk about regular plurals again. So, like dog and S. All you do for regular plurals is you just add an S at the end. So, dogs, cats, and chips, steaks. Irregular plurals, though, such as leaf and child, you'll have to add a word like, you just change the word altogether. So instead of leaf, it would be leaves, and instead of child, it would be children, because you have multiple. And some words become plural by adding en, s, and r. Words that become plural by adding en is children and oxen. So ox changes to oxen, and child changes to children, because you're adding the en at the end. And some words that end with S is box. You have boxes, because you just... And another one is dogs and cats and steaks and all that. Now we're going to be talking about a base plural. So a base plural is an irregular verb you don't add any ending to. So it's the same for it being singular and plural. So say the word deer. So you can say you see one deer or you see 5 deer. No matter what, it's still going to be deer. Same thing with sheep, bison, fish, species, and tuna. Unless you could say you're talking about a species of fish. That means you're talking about a certain, like that there's a certain amount of species, not just one type of species. And then you'll have words that fit both singular and plural. So, such as, there's only 7 words that I can think of off the top of my head, and these are foot. These are the singular version. I'll read the plural version. So the singular version would be foot, woman, man, tooth, goose, mouse, and louse. The plural version of each one would foot would be feet, woman would be women, man would be men, tooth would be teeth, goose would be geese, mouse would be mice, and louse would be lice. So in this case, you have a version for both words that have a singular and a plural word. So next we're going to talk about foreign plural words. So these are words that are plural words that do not come from the English language. They come from Latin and Greek languages. I only have 4 examples here, but I think that'll be enough. So first example I have is fungus. Fungus, some people call it funguses, but the correct plural version of fungus would be fungi. That's the Latin plural example. And then you have cactus. Some people say cactuses, but the correct plural version would be cacti. So, and criteria for Greek, you have you can say criterion, criteria, and criterias. That's what you can't say. It does. But here in the end, though, soon it would coming soon, it'll probably just be es added onto the end of each one of these. But in conclusion, I'm going to start again with biology. We talked about designing an experiment. We talked about controlled variables, how plant A and B, the controlled variable, and those was the amount of sunlight they received. And in grammar, we talked about more plural verbs. So, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video in 2 days. Bye.